Hi, I'm Don Stanek and I'm your REagile coach. We're going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into the REagile methodology and why it's important for you to have an understanding of it and execute on it in your daily business. If you don't already have a copy of the REagile method diagram, please go to our website, which is reagilecoach.com, and click on Method. Scroll down, you're going to see it right there. REagile methodology is a blending of a variety of different other resources and thoughts and methodologies, including Agile, project management, waterfall, project management, Six Sigma, and a variety of other these methods. Now, the truth is, for most of us in the real estate industry, we don't need these long, protracted, complicated methodologies around our project management. Most of the projects that we're going to be dealing with are pretty simple. REagile methodology is about grouping tasks, identifying resources, and understanding what the accountability and the timeline is around getting these things done in order to support our basic professional goals. Now, you might be an individual contributor and you're like, do I need a process, a method? I don't know, I don't need this. Well, you do if you choose to grow, because at some point you're by yourself and maybe you add a team member or maybe you add an assistant. All of a sudden, you've kind of crossed over into a new place now. You're not just communicating with the committee in your head. You now have to have some kind of an articulate conversation with somebody else that may or may not be providing value toward your business goal. Is that communication clear? Is it succinct? Is it relevant to your goals? I don't know. Let's give it a shot. So the first thing you want to take a look at in the diagram is up top, which is your sprint focus. Now, a sprint comes from Agile project management vocabulary, and what it is it's a period of time. Now, typically it's no more than 6 weeks, maybe it's 30 days, maybe it's somewhere a couple of weeks. And what this is we're going to forecast within this period of time, we're going to be able to get something done, and at the end of that period of time, we're going to be able to demonstrate results of having it complete. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you've completed this very complicated end-to-end process, but maybe what you have done is you've got to minimum viability in one specific area or one component of what that is. You break it down. So you can take your business goal that you've identified, and let's say that's let's say it's producing a better listing presentation for the team to use, a team listing presentation. Maybe that's the goal. You're like, wow, gosh, there's a lot of different components in that. If I've got 6 or 7 parts to the listing presentation, I don't think I can get that done in 3 weeks or 2 weeks. What I need to do is kind of, let's break it down. I know there's 5 or 6 parts of the listing presentation. Let's put 2 parts in each sprint, and let's do 3 sprints, and let's just say it's going to take us 90 days to get this done. All of a sudden, you've taken what might seem a really big project and now you've broken it down into incremental steps. It's really important. What is the t-shirt size of my business required on my business goal? What is my sprint focus? Like, how do I bite-size this down into little places? Now, the next thing we want to do is talk about resources. We at REagile like to break our resources down into time and talent and treasure. Time, talent, treasure. All of your resources should be able to be categorized around that. How much time is it going to take? How much money is it going to take? And do we have the talent or the skill set necessary within the team to do this? Have we identified the talent? Do we not have a talent? And which brings us down to the next thing, and that is impediments or deficiencies or obstacles. I like the word impediment. It's what the REagile word is. So when we talk about impediments, again, time, talent, and treasure. Do we have the talent required? Do we have the skill set necessary to achieve the sprint goal? Or are we going to have to outsource that? Are we going to have to provide additional education to somebody in the team, including ourselves? Do we know what we need to do and how we need to do it to get to where we need to go? That's talent. If you don't have the skill set, don't be shy, don't be ashamed. None of these things. It's really simple. What do? You hire someone else to do it. So all of a sudden, talent might not be an issue, but it means you're going to have to maybe put an increase in budget. You need more treasure to compensate for the lack of talent or not the skill set that's currently demonstratable inside your organization. And then what is the timeline on that, right? How much time do you have? Do I have competing timelines? This is very, very common, particularly in small business. Everyone says, well, I don't have enough money, I don't have enough money. Of course you have enough money. The question is, What's your event horizon? How long is it going to take you to get from point A to point B? And are you staying true to the method and whittling away at it every couple of weeks, every couple of weeks, every couple of weeks? I've got something to show for my effort. All right, the next thing is tasks. You're going to have to take and assign tasks to someone in the team. If you're there by yourself, you need to assign these tasks to yourself. Number one important part of this is that they need to be calendarized. You have to have a performance expectation of when is this going to get done. You already know you're going to have impediments because you have competing things for your time and your talent, your treasure. But you're going to have to get into your calendar and you're supposed to time block a little bit each time about this task, when it's going to get performed, and who is going to do this task. You might turn some of this over to an assistant at some point, but I recommend that you have high mastery of this before you start asking other people to be your project manager. So you're not really a project manager because that's very formal, and you're a little business owner. It might be you by yourself with an assistant. You might have a team less than 5 people, less than 10 people. But someone's going to have to take a leadership role in making sure that things get done. That could be an operations director, but I want it to be you, because these little tasks are rolling up into business requirements that become your sprint goal that drive value to your goals. Got it? Got it. So you're not a project manager and you're not really a Scrum Master. The words Scrum and Scrum Master come from Agile project management. We're not even quite that formalized. We're really just coordinating tasks and grouping tasks, identifying who's going to achieve these things, and then having a common language around it. The most important thing around this whole task structure is it has to be calendarized. It has to be calendarized. You have to share this calendar with your team. Your team has to understand what the expectation is. I don't want to get to a point where we're in the calendar and all of a sudden several days or weeks down the road, let's say we have a 3-week project, and we get 3 weeks down the road and all of a sudden someone raises their hand and says, oh, well, I didn't do it. I didn't have enough money, didn't have enough time, enough resources. I don't know what to do, right? How do you avoid this? You're going to have some little ceremonies along the way in Scrum methodology or Agile methodology that's called a DSU, daily stand-up. Now, a daily stand-up is just a 5-minute interaction with a team member. Are you having a problem? Are you focused? Do you have impediments? Are you driving value toward the goal? Are you getting what's going on? Where are you? Now, it's not about riding them, making them feel awkwardly uncomfortable. It's about identifying, is there an impediment that the group can address? Do you need more money? Have we set an unrealistic expectation when we started doing a sprint planning and we started saying, well, this is probably a small or a medium task, it probably doesn't require very much money, but then we start getting into the impediments, we realize, well, it might be a large or an extra large project, it might require more money and more timeline. How do we break that down into smaller pieces? Sometimes this doesn't really show itself or show its head until you get to tasks. And why? Because sometimes people in the team don't really want to participate in the other 2 steps. They don't want to talk about resources. They don't want to talk about impediments. What do you want me to do, right? So they're looking for a highly prescriptive, they want a boss many times they want a boss. You don't want to be a boss. You want to share this responsibility with the team so that you succeed together. Got it? Capiche? Tasks, calendarized. Not micromanaging, but micro-aware. We're aware of what's going on. All right. Last is the retrospective. Is retrospective more important? Like that's the end or the beginning? The beginning is the sprint focused. You wrap around to retrospective. I would contend that both of them are just as important. When you get done with a cycle, have you achieved something? Is the cake fully baked? If you set out to do something, and that was the listing presentation, at the end of these sprints, what is the product you have at the end of that? Is it MVP, minimum viable product? Is it minimally viable? Or does it suck? At which point you kind of have to take a deep breath and say, we probably should have identified better requirements before we went forward. Here's a great thing about REagile. Guess what? Go through the process again. If you're not happy with the outcome, just go through the process again. Eventually, you're going to get leaner and leaner and leaner so that people start identifying impediments in advance. You start planning better on your budget. You start planning better on your timelines. Okay, I got it. It's a lot to absorb. The diagram looks simple, but it's complicated. do me a favor, get on my calendar. I will walk you through this. There is no better way to start communicating with your team than to start understanding this vocabulary and this method today, even if you're an individual contributor. If you think one day you're just going to spring up and be a great leader, it ain't going to happen. You need to start creating system of process and a vocabulary around basic project management, task assignment, and expectations as a leader. If you think you're a really decent leader and all of a sudden you're going to be a broker owner without this really basic understanding of project methodology and workflow, you've just got a very heavy lifting ahead of you. Start this early in your career. It'll pay off in huge dividends today and tomorrow and the next day. Get on my calendar. I would love to walk you through this.